Mr. Speaker.
It's the commencement of the second session of the 10th National Assembly.
Celebrate our achievement.
The Deputy Speaker presides and presents an address on behalf of the Speaker, detailing the journey of the 10th House so far.
Most distinguished colleagues, the House introduced 1,351 bills, the highest number in any first section since 1999.
Matters of urgent importance are then raised, one of which is the suicide bombing in Gwoza, Borno State on Saturday, the 29th of June, which claimed over 30 lives.
The 30 young men who lost their lives ranges between the ages of 35 downward, including teenagers and infants. The suicide bombers, after identifying their faces, it was discovered that they were recruited, they were drugged, they were brainwashed, and they were imported to come to Gwoza from somewhere to cause this issue. They came in uniform, what is normally called in the northern part of Nigeria anko.
In their contributions, lawmakers prefer what they believe to be solutions.
We can call on the president to sack all security political appointees. All political is 10 months. All of them have been in office for 10 months. Even if you are given a job, you have a probation of 10 months. If you're not living up to expectation, you don't get your confinement after 1 year.
These young people that are unemployed can find solace and hope in being in one state, in a state police, a local government police arrangement.
The issue of state police, sir, I will tell you for free, I will not go for it. You know what the governors are doing, how they are cajoling, how they are manipulating the states. They are complaining they cannot pay 60,000 naira now for minimum wage. You want to go and add another branch of problem to them, and at the end of the day you will arm them, and then they will have more sophisticated armed robbers in the country.
The matter is referred to the Committee on National Security and Intelligence for further investigation.
Alleged mismanagement of
another matter that received the attention of Parliament is the alleged mismanagement of funds allocated for improved agriculture across the country.
Cognizance of the need to investigate government agricultural interventions and funding allocated to departments, agencies, schemes and programs outside the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security to ensure transparency, accountability and effective resource utilization.
The House also considered a motion urging the federal government to pay as much attention to the flooded sections of the East-West Road as it does to the coastal road.
The federal government has prioritized the coastal road over the crucial East-West Road, which is very vital for the economic survival of our dear country. The House resolved urged the Federal Ministry of Works to immediately revoke or terminate the contract for the construction of the flooded East-West Road and award same to a company with expertise and capacity.
The attention of the House was also drawn to the outbreak of cholera in the country by the minority leader, as the House resolved to urge the federal and state governments to urgently put measures in place to curb the spread of the disease. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Well, two gentlemen join us this morning to have this conversation with us on the spate of insecurity, particularly that which happened at Gwoza. Honorable Ahmadu Jaha is here with us. He is Federal Constituency Representative of Chibok, Damboa and Gwoza. He is also a member of the House Committee on the Army. Thank you so much for joining us here. He's here with us. He's here with Mr. Dixon Osaje, who is a certified counterterrorism practitioner and global security analyst. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let me start with you, Honorable. Do you think people generally have an understanding of what we're talking about here? Of the serious situation that took place in Borno State? Because there are those who wonder, wait, are we back there, or is it just something that just happened? 32 people dead already. One is bad enough.
Yes, actually, I would want to understand that people have the understanding of what is happening. In fact, people were shocked when they heard what happened, because it's like we are going back to 10 years back. Gwoza was declared a terrorist, zone 10 years back, to be precise, in 2014. And now in 2024, we still have suicide bombers in Gwoza, at the heart of the town, close to motor parks, close to General Hospital, and on the main road, main street, inside the town. So people are shocked of what actually happened, and as I'm talking to you now, every young man in Gwoza is holding either a cutlass or a stick or anything that he can defend himself with.
So when you say the people are shocked, is government also shocked? Because I remember we had this conversation with the government official there, and they are also sounding like they didn't see this coming.
No, from the statement of Defense Headquarters, it's like the government is not shocked, because it's like the government have seen it coming, because their description is a sign of weaknesses on the part of the terrorists for going to attack soft targets, especially in Gwoza. And they went even to the extent of saying that their own military cannot be deterred with what actually happened in Gwoza. So from my understanding, it's like they might have seen it coming, and they know it's part of or it's a sign of weaknesses on the part of the terrorists. But for the people, we are somehow shocked, because we didn't see it coming. People who are relaxed, people who are somehow feeling at home, because a peace is gradually returning. We did not record or notice or witness any form of attack, maybe for the past 2 or 3 years in Gwoza. There was nothing like attack of either villages or the main town. Unfortunately, this thing happened.
Mr. Saji, what do you think here? Is it a resurgence, or is it just a one-off?
I don't think it's a one-off. Fantastic question. Because we all believe that Boko Haram has been decimated. He likely said that the people of Gwoza were in shock when that incident transpired. But as a counter-terrorism practitioners, you don't, go to bed when an institution of Boko Haram, for example, being established about 13 years ago, you think they are gone. They're not gone. 2 weeks ago, Afghanistan put out a statement out there that the country is open as a safe haven for terrorists and those who seek to run from prosecution in their given nations. And I strongly believe that most of these guys who are going to Afghanistan to receive training are trying to also beef up. When I look around the happenings, the multi-dimensional security threats bedeviling Nigeria, looking at the banditry aspect, I strongly believe that most of these guys, kidnapping Nigerians for funds, are trying to, build up their armaments, get more arms, and surprise the Nigerian state. What happened in Gwoza is under the classification of surprise attack. And that is why our people must also be sensitized on terrorism awareness. Let them know that any day, any time, terrorists can strike again. One objective of terrorism is that you can't tell when they want to strike, the day they want to strike and time they want to strike.
Sorry, Mr. Saji, when you say surprise attack, it's a little befuddling. I continue to hold this placard on my heart that no one can tell me, nobody can tell me
in this country, all over the world,
this country can tell me that the Nigerian army or our security apparatus is so vulnerable that they will not know. I can't believe it. Because even the police, we hear reports all the time that whenever the police, Nigerian police, go out of Nigeria, they perform so exceptionally well. But then, so when I hear that this surprise attack happens, why don't we hear that they surprised the terrorists themselves, as opposed to this kind of thing saying, this came to government as a surprise, it came to our military apparatus or our security apparatus as a surprise. I don't want to believe that.
Let me make you believe. I truly understand your position, and that is a fantastic question. Now, I rightly told you that terrorist acts can happen any day, anytime, anywhere. And 70% of terrorist attack all over the world, going by the counter-terrorism profiling, are successful. Why are they successful? Because you don't know the day, the time, and where they want to strike. Our military will not be everywhere. And that is where response mechanism comes to play when this incident occur or are successful. So we must also learn from what happened in the United States as well. And that is why I want our military to be on top alert Because,
Mr. Sergey, just so we don't miss that point.
Yeah.
How aware are you of the security situation in Gwoza itself?
Well, for me, we all believe that security situation in Gwoza has returned to a state of peace under negative peace. Negative peace is a situation whereby you live in a state of little fear, not believing maybe
I'm
something
asking
will
that
happen.
because there's a BBC report.
All right.
That talks about how the security apparatus in Gwoza, and you can tell me if I'm wrong.
Yes. Okay.
There's a BBC report that talks about how the security apparatus in Gwoza changed recently.
Okay.
Okay, Honorable Jaha is shaking his head because
Change for good or change
for what?
No, it changed in the sense that so local communities like Gwoza and those Polka and Mandara.
Okay.
So in the little communities, there used to be military formations in those places that kept those communities safe.
Yes.
Okay. We heard from that BBC report that those little camps were closed down.
Yes.
Okay.
This is true.
No. It's not that little camps are closed down.
And
we still have camps in Pulka. We still have camps in Gwoza.
Okay.
The only place we don't have camp is Ngoshe and Kirawa and Isge.
Okay.
These are the only places we don't have
So
camps.
you don't have camps in those places because the issue is that those terrorists came in, according to the reports we're getting from your state, Honorable Jaha, those women came in from Mandara, from the Mandara Mountains and from Pulka, and were able to enter into that Gwoza. So my question really is, what is the security situation between that place, that mountain in Mandara, where we're hearing a lot of people say there is no military presence there at all?
Yes.
So what's the situation between there and Gwoza, which is where you're from?
Very good. Mandara Mountain completely is under the occupation of Boko Haram members. Take it or leave it.
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria.
And the Nigerian government
I am from the mountain area.
The Nigerian government is aware?
Nigerian government is aware.
The military is aware?
The military is aware.
Okay. The army is aware?
In fact, let me tell you, as I'm speaking to you, Boko Haram is the one governing this Mandara Mountain, the whole of Mandara Mountain.
Okay.
Take it or leave it.
Okay.
In fact, they practice Sharia law. They went even to the extent of slaughtering women, particularly those that attempted to escape, men that attempted to escape, to come down to Gwoza.
Sorry.
So to tell you this,
just a second.
Yes.
You said the military is aware.
They are aware.
You are a member of the committee on the army.
Yes.
And the army is aware.
Yes.
Have they been informed?
They were. Actually, when we went for an oversight function in Maiduguri,
okay,
we had a direct encounter with the theater commander, GOC, and other military generals on the presence of Boko Haram members in Mandara Mountain. They said they are doing the needful. In fact, they will even said that they are training their own military personnel that can walk on the top of the mountains. What I'm trying to say in a nutshell, from all indication, they don't have a ready-made and trained personnel that can operate at the top of the mountain.
Okay.
Unlike the mobile force that we have, that used to have their training on the same Mandara Mountain in the past. One, secondly, from my understanding, if they do have people that can go to that mountain and hold grounds, whenever they capture to that particular mountain, I know definitely they are going to disseminate Boko Haram.
So when you heard DDMO say that these attacks are desperate attempts by these terrorist organizations to be relevant again and sort of destroy the progress or destroy the perception of the progress that the military has made against terrorists, how did that make you feel as someone from there? Is this and we also heard similar from the president where he said this is a one-off, this is an isolated incident, it's not the reality of this place, and of course promising that punishment will come to these people. What does that say to you vis-a-vis what you know, at least what you've experienced on the ground in Gwoza?
Yes, President was right by saying that it's not the reality of Gwoza. Because even the suicide bombers, after identifying their faces, they are not from Borno, talk less of being from Gwoza. They are not from Gwoza, they are not from Borno. Because we know ourselves in Gwoza, and we know the type of tribal marks we have on our faces. The tribal marks on the faces of these terrorists, about 3 of them, because their faces were identified, they are not from Borno. So that is why I said we were surprised. We were not expecting it. Let me tell you, At the very beginning, when the thing was somehow hot, what we normally do is whenever people are going to farms, the military men used to give them tag.
Yes.
And whenever they are returning back from home, from farm, they have to present this tag for collection.
Before you can come in.
Before you can come in. We stopped doing that out of complacency. Secondly, there was a search. Whenever you are going out to the farm, they will search you whether you are carrying either food, condiments, or other related things to the Boko Haram members. It will be seized immediately because you don't have to use them in your farms. That, at the same time, if you are coming back from farm, you will be searched thoroughly. We stopped doing that. So, in short, there is a complacency on the part of the people, and there is equally a complacency on the part of our security agencies. That is the truth of the matter we have to accept. And another thing, somebody cannot come from maybe northwest, or southwest, or south-south, or southeast, or even north central, and come to the northeast and go to Gwoza in Borno State without a help from an insider. Whether we like it or not, we have to accept that.
So, the truth is, and it's important that you've pointed that out.
Yes.
Because when military operations are happening, they always talk about the fact that residents, people from the communities, are complacent. Many members of communities are complacent in these attacks.
Yes.
Now, I want to be able to talk to a security expert, Sosaje.
Okay.
With this dynamic, what should the military be doing right now?
Visit the location, because I'm surprised getting this intelligence from my honorable. You see, one thing about terrorism is that...
Wait, you said visit the location. What do you mean? Just go there?
When I say visit the location, the military understand that they have to go there and decimate this criminal element from the territorial space of Nigeria.
Understand what the question was.
Yeah.
We have, as he has said now, residents, people from the communities who are complacent in these situations for whatever reason. And that's why they keep talking about the fact that the non-kinetic measures have not been addressed.
Okay.
So while you're busy fighting Boko Haram, you still have a fodder that they can still harvest from to put in their ranks. With that dynamic, what should the military be doing right now?
Let me tell you something you need to understand. When it comes to terrorism fundamentals, you know, there are phases of applications. These terrorist groups, they are well designed. More than some multinational companies, they have a very robust organizational structure. One of the organizational structure is that they put in auxiliary force, they put in operational force, and they put in intelligence force. What this auxiliary force do is that they stay within the community and gather information where, when, and time to strike. Then the intelligence force send information to their command center. This is because the objective of terrorism is to maximize casualty. And that is why when you go to maximize casualty, your mission is to die. And if your mission is to die, that means you have no way to come back home. So these three forces, the auxiliary forces, the operational forces, and the intelligence forces, makes it very difficult for you to ascertain when and where they want to strike. Now, you really talk about the military. Let's give the military the cap, you know, for you to put your life on the line to die for a given nation is worth appreciating. But we must not allow these terrorists to survive. We must not give them time to regroup and also recuperate. What the military should be doing after hearing my beloved honorable giving this intelligence about the occupation of Marada, I think we have a special force that should go to that mountain. 2 weeks ago, the Israeli forces went into the enemy's den of Hamas and extracted 3 Israeli hostage. What happened? They had a formidable force protection team in the sky, giving them coverage, and they went there into deception. The military should also apply deception this time around if they want to take out these guys, because deception is one of the given factor in a battlefield, deception and surprise. So we should go after these guys and decimate them anytime. We must not allow them to regroup because they've messed up a lot. But I must tell you this bitter truth. I see a rebirth of Boko Haram.
Before we get to that question, with what's happened, we saw from the report from Borno that those women, there were 30 of them. Am I correct?
No, 30 people that died.
That's no. How many women? How many terrorists came into Gwoza?
No, as far as we are concerned, is 3 that detonated the bomb.
4. There were 4 detonations.
Yeah, there were 3 detonations.
So are we aware?
Because I went there, I visited the place.
Are we aware of are these the only people, or are there others that should be? Is there some kind of vigilance that should be going on right now?
Yes,
so that we can...
definitely, because...
Is there any idea of how many people we're dealing with here?
Immediately after that incident, the military decided to put curfew immediately, so that everybody can go home, so that they will be doing door-to-door search to see if there is an alien or any other person that came in so that they can identify him or her. One. Secondly, the curfew continued until on Monday, when we visited the place together with the deputy governor, who is the acting governor of Borno State today, the senator representing the constituency, who happens to be from the same local government with me, Senator Alin Dume, and my humble self, and some stakeholders. We went to Gwoza to condole the families of the deceased. Then we lost 29 people. And later on yesterday, one of the victims passed out. So what I'm trying to say in a nutshell, there was a curfew, but the curfew has been relaxed now. But military men are taking measures on how to search people before going to farms, and whenever they are coming back, they will be searched thoroughly.
It was because, yes, Governor Zulum isn't around, is he?
Yes, he's in around, but he handed over to
Where
the
is
deputy
he?
governor. He has traveled to Saudi.
For, do we know?
For Hajj.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, one of the questions that I would like, when you say that the people were complacent,
yes,
what is it that the people should have done? You said at some point there were some measures they were, executing that they relaxed.
Yes.
Okay.
The people should be very active because terrorists are very, very unpredictable.
It leads me to the question that the endless question of local government administrations. There are those who would ask whether or not the local government system in these places where these attacks happened was active as they should be.
It didn't exist.
Because I'm wondering if they indeed existed the way they should exist. Do you think this would have been a success?
Actually, local government exists because the current chairman of the local government spent...
Are they as active and well-funded as they should?
Yes, very active. As I'm talking to you, the chairman was sworn in about 3 or 4 months back. He has succeeded in returning about 4 communities in Gwoza to go back to their villages. The chairman is very, very active. Fortunately, the chairman was a staff of Ministry for Reconstruction, Rehabilitation, and Resettlement before he was appointed. So before he was elected, he has the capacity and the experience to do all this. As I'm talking to you, local government system is working in Gwoza. All the head of departments are in Gwoza, and the local government chairman is up and doing. As I'm talking to you, before I come to this studio, I called him. He was on his way from Owa to bring fertilizer for farmers. So the chairman is very active on ground.
There's a conversation we had with another citizen, an indigenous, I forgot his name, Massa or something like that. He was with us, I think it was last week or even Monday, saying that, look, Boko Haram has infiltrated the community. That there are even members of his own household who are members of, this terrorist group, and that, it's like everybody knows everybody, and that sometimes it's even difficult to rat them out because they are your family. Is it something that government is aware of?
No, I don't think that is true. The truth of the matter is, even in a family, you have people that have sympathy for Boko Haram members.
Just sympathy, not membership?
Not by extension, membership. Because if you have sympathy for somebody, you can give him information. In short, there is fifth columnist attitude in the operations, whether we like it or not. You have people that are still bad eggs communicating with the Boko Haram in the bush, which I believe the security agencies are doing something about.
Now, I am aware that we understand that there are at least one DSS official, one intelligence officer in every local government in the country.
Yes.
That is why I'm still befuddled about the fact that this is something that caught us by surprise.
No, it's going to catch us by surprise, and I say it and I will keep on saying it. I said we were relaxed. There was some level of complacency.
Including the DSS officials?
No, I said all the security agencies and the people. Because security is everybody's business. Whether you are a security agent or not, it's your own business. And you have to take it seriously.
I mean, that's shocking that complacency entered into this situation in Borno. Just not too long ago, we had the attack in was it Yobe? Where the residents refused to pay harvest tax to Boko Haram. And that is something that we're dealing with at that time. How did that happen, and then we're complacent just next door? You're not far from each other. That should have been some kind of pointer.
We are about 200 miles away from Yobe. Gwoza is 200 miles away from Yobe. In Gwoza, we have 13 political wards, but only 4 political wards are not under the occupation of Boko Haram.
Wow. And you say this, which counters what we keep hearing from the military and from the federal government, which is that there is no Nigerian territory that is under the control of Boko Haram. Are they lying when they say that?
I don't know what you mean by territory. As far as
space of land,
even if it's a one step, if it is under the occupation of Boko Haram, can be described as ungovernable, and it is under the occupation of Boko Haram.
So let me tell you, they are lying to us when they say that.
Let me tell you, it's not that maybe their own understanding or definition of territory is different from my understanding as a politician of a territory. To the best of my knowledge, a territory is where a step that is not under your control is not under your control. So that particular area is called territory that is not under your control. For instance, in Gwoza, I have 13 political wards. Pulka is one of the political wards. In Pulka, is only Pulka area that is safe. But some part of the ward is not safe, which is Oko. Nobody can venture into that because you will end up being in the hands of terrorists. In Gwoza, we have 2 wards at the center. Blabling, Gwoza Wakane, and Hausari Gadamayo. This one, they are safe. Even though some part of them are equally not safe. Another thing, nobody can venture 5 kilometers away from this place alone without security agent that can survive it. Another thing, I have Guduvnagadio Guduvuwewa. It's completely under the occupation of Boko Haram. You can quote me anywhere. Kurana Basangoshe Sama, completely under the occupation of Boko Haram. Shikideju Wadekuhum, completely under the occupation of Boko Haram. Gavaga Palawa, completely under the occupation of Boko Haram. Wala Warvedure, only Warabe, which has about 4 or 5 political units that is not under the occupation of Boko Haram, but substantially like 75% of the world is still under the occupation of Boko Haram. So in my analysis, if you have 13 political wards and only 4 or 5 political wards are accessible, that particular local government is under the occupation of Boko Haram because substantial part of it is still ungovernable, does not have security presence, and is under the occupation of Boko Haram.
And elections still hold there?
No, we conducted our election in IDP camps in Pulka and Gwoza.
Okay, we'll take a short break for some messages and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Well, quickly, Honorable, let me come to you. I wanted to take a question with Mr. Saji, but just, from this message that we have more than 100 years of military gallantry and, the congratulation is coming from the front lines. And we're talking about a front line here. One of the questions that arises in my mind is, do we have enough motivation for the men on the field? And I'm not just talking about money or welfare now. Is this something that, are they motivated well enough to be able to dare anything?
I don't think they are motivated because their effort, if you compare it with what they have been given on daily basis or monthly basis, it will not tally compared to what is obtainable in other countries of the world. For instance, if soldiers are going to peacekeeping, soldiers went even to the extent of lobbying to go for peacekeeping because they know there they are stimulated, they have equipment to do the war, they have equipment to fulfill their own ambition as military men. In Nigeria, it may interest you to know that an allowance is collected by somebody in the field, in the battlefield, is 1,500 naira daily. In other words, he is working for 62 naira 50 kobo in every hour. So in other words, if he is going to fight terrorists for 2 hours and survive, he will end up getting 125 naira. How do you expect him to perform? For God's sake, we have to tell each other that he has family. How do you expect him to perform? If he can fight terrorists for 2 hours, what he can go home with is 125 naira.
Imagine if someone offered him more.
Imagine if someone offered him more.
Honourable, what's your take on it? The question that I will beg your pardon, Mr. Sajid. I wanted to ask you, I mean, he was talking about political words and everything. So the question that came to my mind to ask you about that is this a politically motivated occurrence, or it is something that some have called a grand global scheme?
Well, you know, terrorism has three foundations of sponsorship. We have the state-sponsored terrorists, we have the state-directed terrorists, and we also have the independent terrorists. Sometimes state-sponsored terrorists are terrorists that the government or the state tends to supply arms and ammunition, while the state-directed terrorists are terrorists that the government, you know, directs them to go after the enemy of the state. Then the independent terrorists are terrorists that, you know, on their own way try to rise against the state. Now, where Boko Haram stands, I'm unable to place it. Either it's been state-sponsored or, you know, independent. The battle has lingered for so long.
You think it is possible for it to be state-sponsored?
If it is state-sponsored, it could be an international state-sponsored, because most of these guys sometimes get money from the international community. Like sometimes what these terrorists do, they have an organized system whereby, for example, maybe Boko Haram made a lot of money through hostage-taking. They can send it to their international brothers to also get arms and ammunition. So that is where we have the major problem in the area of terrorism management. But I think we're still going to get it right. Like we rightly talk about motivation and force protection, and as well, we need to tell our military to do more for us, because we can't live in a country where we still have some non-state actors occupying the territorial space of Nigeria. Because what has been put out there for so long is that Boko Haram has been completely annihilated. Going by what the Honorable have just said, I think they have not been annihilated, and the military should take this very seriously, and they must go after these guys because they are not powerful than our military.
I mean, kudos to the military for the work that they do. And I'm a military kid, so I know I know what that's like.
Oh, sure,
you know, and the need for the Nigerian people to support the military and always show up, you know, their morale. They survive on our morale, because like Honorable just said, that money makes no sense.
It's been so long.
The money makes no sense. So they basically are surviving on their morale and their patriotism.
Nigerians,
which is a very important thing. I want to be able to talk with you because you just mentioned terrorism management.
Yeah.
There's a question that a lot of people have been asking recently since Gwoza's attack happened, and it has to do with this concept of repentant Boko Haram. Okay. We have understood that there are different levels of Boko Haram.
Okay.
Not everyone that is called Boko Haram was shooting people. Some people were supplying fuel. Some people supplied food. Some people supplied perfume. Some people are terrorists by association.
Fantastic.
So this issue, is this being managed properly? I keep asking. I know that the idea that we don't want them stigmatized because that would encourage more of them to give themselves over to the military and say, okay, we're not doing this anymore. So we get that. But is there some kind of, are we handling it properly? Is it being done properly in your view as an expert?
Well, in my view, I think it's not being done properly in the, you know, when we talk about the repentant Boko Haram or the repentant terrorists. In the U.S. terrorism policy, there are two major factors I highlighted from the U.S. terrorism policy. One of the policy statements is that make no concession with terrorists and strike no deal with them. That is, make no concession with bandits, strike no deal with bandits. Here in our country, we see some of our leaders, you know, striking deals with bandits, taking pictures with bandits. One of the strongest policy in the U.S. policy, terrorism management, is that bring every terrorist to justice. Now in our country, we don't bring them to justice. We pardon those who kill our soldiers. We pardon those who kill our officers. They are your brothers, they are your sisters. They are my brothers and my sisters. So when you pardon some people on this hand and they are killing our troops on this other hand, that tells you we've messed up with terrorism management. And I will strongly advise that that word, repentant terrorists, should be eliminated from our space. I don't want to hear about it, and we should not bring that to public hearing, because when you kill or take a life, you must be brought to justice. And that is why you see the US and other countries, they are striving in the area of terrorism management, because they don't strike deal. Here we strike deal. They don't pardon these guys, here we pardon. So if we bring them to justice and if we don't strike deal with them, I tell you, and we have consequence management as well, because one of the major factor or the major problem we have is consequence management. Who are the sponsors of Boko Haram? Some time ago, United Arab Emirates intelligence gathering gave us some list of people who were sponsoring Boko Haram. Where are they right now? Are they in cell? Are they in prison? Have they been prosecuted? So if you don't bring these guys to justice, terrorism will strive, and it will keep on striving.
Honorable Jaha.
Yes.
Same question. What do you make of this? Because you are the one there. When they're repentant, when they're done with them, they bring them back into your community.
You see, in every fora, I reserve my comment as far as the issue of repentant Boko Haram is concerned. I hold the same position with him. And whenever I want to talk about it, it may be contrary to the expectation of some people, but as a representative of people, I know what my people want, and I stand by it. That is the truth.
What do they want?
Very good. My people want peace, and they know there is a price for that.
And what's that price?
The price is, whether we like it or not, we have to face the reality. Security must be everybody's business.
Leading me to the question of how involved the governors in the Northeast are about this. I know that they have held quite a number of Northeast security summits.
Yes. And my governor is the chairman of the Northeast Governors Forum.
And here we are.
And they are doing their best. Let me tell you.
Is there something else they could have done?
To the best of my knowledge, what they are doing is the best. The best in the sense that they are doing what can bring peace, particularly in Borno State and Yobe State.
Can we expect the governors collectively to surprise the terrorists too, as they surprised us?
No, I don't think they have to do that, because I don't think it's part of their job description.
Really?
Governors are only augmenting the effort of the federal government, because security is in an exclusive list, exclusive legislative list of the federal government.
So what does the governor do with the security votes that they collect?
They recruit civilian JTF, they support the vigilante, they support the hunters, because they are the one helping the military on ground to succeed.
Is that to say that that strategy is not working?
It's working. It's working. What I'm telling you, what happened in Gwoza is a peculiar case. As I'm talking to you now, every young man in Gwoza is holding
How are we to be sure, Honorable, that this surprise is not going to happen again?
This is why we are telling our people, especially when we went there on Monday, we told our people to be resilient, to be vigilant, and to go back to our system of securing our local government in the past by searching, putting surveillances, putting vigilance on anybody that is coming to our local government.
And you also said earlier that, you know, the military has been doing some things, and then here we are now. Is there, what would you be suggesting to them? Because surprise or no surprise, some people have died.
Yes.
Some fathers have lost.
Yes.
Some children have lost their fathers.
Yes.
Some children have lost their mothers and all of that. So how do we ensure that this surprise is not a series?
As far as I'm concerned, is when we had a discussion with the military, they are going back to what they have been doing in the past. One, by providing tallies or tiles, token for anybody that is going to farm. And whenever you are coming back, you have to bring it back. And it's going to be different colors. One. Secondly, the stop and search must be continued. In other words, anybody that is coming to the town must be searched thoroughly, regardless of who you are, before you go into the town. And we inform our people to be vigilant. Vigilant in the sense that let them identify any person they feel or they believe is not from Gwoza. Let them report him immediately, because we know ourselves. If we are sitting here like this, if you are from Gwoza, I will be able to tell you that you are from Gwoza, because we know ourselves. Well, so it's a surprise to us. Okay. It's a surprise.
So, Saji,
yeah,
you agree with him?
Fantastic question. You see, combating terrorism is not military-centric. Most people just think it's all about the military, it's all about the security. No, there are two-way coin in counter-insurgency, the military-centric approach and the population-centric approach, which has to deal with the politicians, which has to do with our leaders, political will. Because if we leave it to the military will fight till eternity, and that is the truth. And you talked about the conferences and the talks they've been having. Good one. That's another methodology to mitigate terrorism. But how do we get rid of these people? We need to start looking at the society. We need to start looking at social contracts as well, because most of these guys, how do they get their fighters from? That's where we talk about employment methodology, because they capitalize on the vulnerable Nigerians. Like the lady that carried out that suicide bombing, I can tell that maybe perhaps she's highly vulnerable, because most times we think they have to brainwash. Some of them are not being brainwashed.
Well, it's a long, I mean, you said it already. It's something that we just have to keep our eyes on. Now, 2-3 years after you said honorable, and then we're having this surprise attack. Yes. I just hope, I want to hear the news that the military also surprised them.
No, we should surprise them. You're correct.
That's been happening as well. Honorable,
the only thing I will suggest we should surprise them with is let us resort to recruitment of mercenaries to come and clear the Mandara Mountain.
Well, you're a member of the House Committee on the Army. Maybe they will listen to that suggestion in one of your meetings. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Honorable Ahmadu Jaha, representative of the Chibok, Damboa, and Gwoza Federal Constituency, also a member of the House Committee on the Army, as well as Mr. Dixon Osaji, certified counter-terrorism practitioner and global security analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Up next is Business Morning on Sunrise Daily.